What we're looking at right now is me conditioning Vail to the clicker for the first time. He had never done clicker training before. My method was just to have 10 treats per session and give him a treat every time I clicked the clicker. We had 2 sessions, so he got a total of 20 treats. And each session was spaced about a half an hour apart. I am only showing the first session, though. After both sessions were completed, I wanted to make sure that the conditioning was successful, so I waited till he wasn't paying attention, and then gave him a click, and when he responded, I knew that the conditioning was complete. Briefly explain. So I'm going to try and teach him to boop it, where he taps his face onto my hand, and eventually we're to tapping his face on an object. Right now, I've shaped some other behaviors that he's trying to do. Yeah! You may notice that Vail is throwing out some other behaviors in addition to the boop behavior. He tends to do that whenever he is learning a new behavior and isn't exactly sure what I'm asking him for. He thinks that I might be asking him to shake hands, or lay down, or play dead. And he's very willing to throw out all his behaviors if he thinks that it will get him a treat. Here he's getting frustrated and playing dead. I thought that moving to a different location might encourage him not to offer the shake hands behavior. That was not quite successful. He was still wanting to throw out multiple behaviors. To throw out all his behaviors at once. And I'm trying to be really careful about not shaping him to boop it while he tries to shake my hands. So I moved him to the floor to encourage him to stand so that he wouldn't be able to offer me his paws. His solution to that was to lay down while trying to shake my hand. He's very, very food motivated.
Stand up. Stand up.
So I would just encourage him to stand
Come here.
in between asking for him to offer the boop it behavior.
Good boy!
And just give him verbal affirmation whenever he was on track.
Boop it. Good boy! Boop it. Boop it. Good.
This is when he really started to get it. Whenever he would offer his paw, I would just slightly withdraw my hand. There was no punishment during any of this behavior shaping. But he would see that I would withdraw my hand and sometimes get frustrated and lay down.
Oh, you sound frustrated. Boop it. Oh.
But eventually offered the boop behavior.
Boop it. Boop it.
This was the last phase of the behavior shaping with him touching my hand before I moved to having him tap and boop it wherever I pointed to on my body.
This is easier if you stand up. Stand up, pop up.
He was really seeming to get it, but I gave him a day or so to process before we started back up again.
Boop it. Good. Boop it. Boop it.
The next day, as a refresher, I had him offer the behavior multiple times in succession before I would give the click and his reward. I wanted to make sure that he was really comfortable with the behavior before asking him to touch something other than my hand. But here I'm going to ask him to touch my leg. And since he gets close, I give the click. And on the second try, he gets it. And he actually leaves a little drool spot on me. I did this a few more times, with him following my finger and finally figuring out to touch what I'm pointing at. And so we move on to the final application, which is him touching the door.
You can do it.
This was really a struggle. He really didn't know what I wanted, so he kept laying down, and I would try and guide him back around and redirect his attention to the door.
Okay. Okay. Come here. Come here. I don't want you to lay at the door. Good.
We finally had some success. But it was really a matter of me figuring out how to coax him into having a success so that I could shape the behavior. He kept wanting to tap my hand. That's what he was used to. And I did reward that behavior at first because he was close to the door.
Good boy.
But once I switched up my grip and had my treats in the hand, he got it. The practical application for this behavior is tying a bell to the doorknob so that he can ring the bell if he wants to go outside, rather than scratching up the door. And to finally reinforce the behavior, I asked for it multiple times before giving the treat.
Yeah.
And he succeeded.
Good boy. You did it.
In bed, I kiss and rock your belly. Listen to you snort and wheeze and whine in your sleep. Greeted with wet kisses in the early morning. Always fall asleep to the song of